Hey guys, welcome back to BeyondMilestones podcast. It's your host, Daniela Owusu. I'm so glad that you guys decided to join in for another new episode of the podcast today. I hope you guys are having an amazing day so far. Today on the podcast, we are going to be talking about your mind and your body. So we're still going with this series of becoming your best investment, which I think has been super fun so far. Last week's episode was on acceptance. So if you guys haven't heard that one and you're listening to this one, you should definitely listen to that one as well. But I talked all about just how we need to accept ourselves. But in order to keep moving on, we have to just accept what's happened and accept what we're going through. So today, we're going to be talking about mind and body. There are so many things that we can do to change our physical appearance and change all the things about the outward part of us. But I feel like when you do change all the outward stuff, there's still the inner you. And even with the fact that you can change the outside of you, in order for you to feel like you are your best investment, you have to do the inner work. You have to work on yourself. So when I'm talking about our body today, I'm not talking about eating healthy and drinking lots of water. And yes, those are all super important things. In this episode, when I'm talking about mind and body, I'm talking about how does our body hold stress? How does our body carry trauma? How does our mindset affect the way that we perceive ourselves and things like that? So I didn't want it to be just like those regular like health talks you talk about, because everyone knows this stuff. Like, it's good to eat well and things like that, but I really wanted to talk about things that we don't normally talk about. Before we get into the episode, if you are interested in growing this podcast community, please follow the podcast on Instagram, TikTok. I've been putting out stuff on Instagram and TikTok, so I hope that if you are from there or on there, I hope that it's been really beneficial for you and encouraging. But if you're not on there, you should definitely get on there and just continue to foster this beautiful podcast community. So let's get into the episode. So something that I've learned is that our minds and our bodies are so interconnected. They really feed into each other, and I've learned a lot about how stress and trauma is stored in our body recently, and I thought that was something that we could really talk about with investing in yourself, because I think that if we're completely in shambles on the inside, nothing else that we do to become our best investment is really going to be worth it, because everything, it comes from our inner being. And so if we're not well, everything else is just not gonna be great. So I took the liberty of doing some research on how trauma and stress is stored in our bodies. And I'm not a health expert, I'm not a doctor, I just am a student, and we read a lot of research papers and things like that. And so I'm just gonna talk about what I have read. But all the information that I found is on the Harvard Medical School website and Mayo Clinic. And so if you're interested in like doing more research or just like learning more about it, I highly recommend that you go visit those web pages and like read all about it for yourself. So what I found was that a lot of the times, if we have unresolved emotions, unresolved stress, or an unresolved traumatic experience, a lot of it can be held within our neck, shoulders, abdomen, our hips, most of our upper body, and then our like GI or digestive system. If you don't know the way that stress kind of manifests in our body, so our body has sympathetic nervous system, it has the parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system controls our fight or flight. So when our body's sympathetic nervous system activates, our body is preparing to defend itself. It's preparing to defend ourselves from a threat. It's preparing to either run away, like we're trying to protect ourselves. So in that, our body produces something called cortisol, and cortisol is a hormone, and when cortisol is released, it signals our body to release glucose, which is a sugar that provides energy to our muscles. So our muscles are like gearing up to like run. But the thing is that our bodies don't really know the difference now between an exam and like a bear running after us, but it still responds in that way. And so the thing about cortisol is that when cortisol is released into our bodies, it does have effects. So it will narrow our arteries, for example. It basically is preparing our bodies to like fight, but we're not fighting. And so normally once a threat passes, our cortisol levels are just supposed to like go back down, and then we're just supposed to be like chill again and recover. But if you're someone that is constantly stressed all the time, or someone that's not taking care of your body when you're stressed, your stress can become chronic. And when your stress is chronic, your cortisol levels are going to be elevated all the time. And that can lead to a ton of things. It can lead to anxiety. It can lead to depression, panic attacks, sadness. You're not able to concentrate. You're overeating, like just going towards things to cope, like alcohol. It can make you feel more tired. It can make your heart rate go up. It can lead to different illnesses like high blood pressure and chest pain and shortness of breath and headaches and nausea and digestive issues. And you see where I'm going with this. It is not good. And so while I was reading this, I was realizing is that it is so important that we're not neglecting like our physical body. I think that a lot of us are so immune to like being stressed, and we're always stressed, and sometimes it's kind of a flex. No, like it's not a flex to be stressed. It's not a flex to have your mind so like high wired that your body is suffering. I work at the YMCA and I work the morning shift, so it's like a ton of older people, and just talk about, yeah, like I have like I need 2 knee replacements, and my rotator cuff is like messed up, and like all this stuff, and they're just like not doing well. And now they are in the gym at like 80 years old trying to make sure that they prevent the next heart attack and things like that. But it's like we could be doing that right now as people that are in our 20s and 30s. Like we could be preventing all these like illnesses right now by mitigating our stress, by taking care of our bodies. I think it's easy to be like, oh, well, this is just school. This is just what I have to go through. This is just what we're doing. But it's like, no, like you're actively affecting yourself in a negative way. And that's not a flex. It's not something to be proud of. It's something that you should recognize and be like, hey, I'm really stressed out. What can I do to mitigate this? Instead of being like, okay, well, I'm just gonna have to stay up for 3 nights in a row just to like do well on this exam. You need to take care of yourself. I also really believe that in order to do well in things, you really do have to take care of yourself first, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And so maybe we don't realize that these actions are affecting our bodies now and our minds now, but later down the line they will, and we're going to regret not just stopping and like taking some deep breaths or practicing some mindfulness. I know that mindfulness can be kind of like a joke, and like I think I definitely was someone that made fun of like mindfulness practices when I was younger and in middle school and high school when they were trying to teach it to us, but now I really see the benefit of them. So definitely something to keep in mind. Another cool thing that I specifically think is so fascinating about our bodies is the mind-gut connections. Our minds and our guts are really interconnected, and if you're interested in learning more about this, I highly recommend. There's so many books out there that talk about the mind-gut connection, and it's something that is being more researched on. I think a lot of people are realizing like, wow, like a lot of things can just come from having an unhealthy gut. So specifically with the gut and stress, or the gut and anxiety, there is a huge relationship between the environment or our psychological stress and having like stomach issues. And so if you just look up like, can stress make you sick? It can. And this is kind of like what it's talking about, where it's like specifically a lot of people will have like just bad like stomach issues, and they'll be like, I don't know why I wake up every morning like bloated and things like that. And for some people it can just be because of these like psychological stressors and things like that. In my human physiology class, we're actually learning about this. And so when I was reading about this for the podcast episode, I was like, oh my gosh, like we just learned this. So like, I know that this is a fact, guys. So when you're stressed and you trigger that fight or flight response, your digestion is going to slow, because if you think about it, if you're about to chase after a bear, like you don't want your digestion to be at an all-time high. Okay, your digestion is going to slow or even stop so that your body can put all of its energy towards like what you're about to like fight. If you think about it, like let's say you're doing a presentation, like normally your stomach maybe might hurt, or you might feel like a little bit uncomfortable in your stomach. It's because your digestion is being slowed because you think that you're like about to be beaten by a bear. If you have chronic stress and you're always in that fight or flight, your stomach or your digestion is always slow. Most likely gonna have these consistent stomach issues. And so it's kind of sad, because like a lot of people don't know that, like maybe I'm actually causing my illnesses, and maybe I'm actually causing like what I'm feeling right now. We don't really talk about that. We're just like, go work out, go eat good, go eat healthy. But it's like, why? It's not just because you're eating healthy and it just like keeps you healthy for the long run. It's also because it can mitigate these different illnesses that we may feel. And so a part of becoming your best investment is learning and realizing like how your body's working, how your mind's working, all the inner parts of you. How does that work? When I eat this, it makes me feel good, so I'm going to keep eating things like that. So you're constantly feeling good. So you're sort of like planting that seed and building on it. So later down the line, like 20 years later, you're at your best because you started to pay attention to what you're eating, pay attention to your stress, pay attention to how your body responds to stress. For me, my stress is always held in my shoulders. Like when I feel my shoulders tight, I know like, oh, I need to like chill out. I need to calm down. I need to go take a yoga class or something. So it just making sure that you're taking care of like inside and outside your body is really important. Something that I think is also really cool is your hips. So your hips, and this is according to Cicero Health, your hips serve as a storage facility for emotional tension, stress, and trauma. A lot of us sit for hours on end. Like I know some people have desk jobs, some people are constantly sitting. You just have like a sedentary lifestyle, or we just have poor posture, or we just suppress our emotions. So like for me, for example, sometimes like something makes me upset, like I just like push it down, and then it like bubbles up and it's like a whole big thing. But all of that is stored in our hips. And so you'll notice some people will have a lot of tension in their hip lower back area because of that emotional stress, that emotional burden that's on there. Long periods of sitting down, long periods of stress, long periods of unresolved emotions are all causing our hip muscles to tighten, to contract, and that can lead to discomfort and pain. And so it is incredibly important now more than ever, because I know that a lot of people benefit from taking medication and things like that, but if you can prevent yourself from having to take like an Advil every day because you're in so much pain by just maybe doing some stretches every day, maybe just releasing tension, releasing stress every single day, I think that we are like putting ourselves in a better spot if we're taking care of parts of our body that we neglect a lot. I know that I don't walk around all day thinking about my hips, or I don't walk around all day thinking about my shoulders and things like that until it becomes a problem. And so you want to kind of mitigate those things by just getting ahead of it. Every night, maybe do like a hip stretch if you know that you're someone that tends to suppress their emotions. Just doing a I don't know if you guys know that stretch where like you lay down on your back and then you push. Let's say you're going to do this on the left side. So you are going to put your knees up kind of like in a cradle position, and then your knees are going to push to your left side. So your hips are to your left, your knees are to your left. Your head is maybe in the center, but it's a side stretch. And then you do it on the other side, like doing that and holding that stretch for maybe like a minute on each side, just releasing your hips and just releasing that stress. I don't know if you guys have heard people like crying in a yoga class when it's a lot of hip focused, or sometimes maybe a yoga teacher will say, if you feel emotions come up during this stretch, just let them pass, things like that. When you're releasing your hips, they release emotions and stress and tension. So I highly recommend just really being intentional about your body and how stress and trauma and all those things are stored in your body, because not taking care of your body can really just lead to more problems. And so if you can take care of yourself and know that I'm making a daily 5-minute investment on taking care of myself, you're on your way to becoming your best investment. So I kind of want to shift gears to our mind. I was actually talking to a friend and I was just like, yeah, like I feel like for some reason enemy loves to just like throw in negative thoughts, throw in thoughts of like imposter syndrome, make me feel like I'm not good enough. And those are not true facts. Like I know that I'm good enough. I know that I'm meant to go to this school and be around these people. I know that I'm meant to become the person I want to be when I get older, but it's like some days I just wake up and I'm like, maybe I'm not meant to be this person anymore. Like, and that's literally such a lie from the enemy. And our mindsets create our reality. So because our minds are so powerful, it's so easy for the enemy to be like, boom, 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 like you're not good enough, because just like one thought like, hey, I can't do this, can literally block you from never doing something ever in your life again. And even in the Bible, it says like, what a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And I feel like that's just such a good verse to remind us that, like our minds really do create who we are and maybe what we can achieve if we, because God tells us like you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, and so we know for a fact that we're able to handle the things that come our way with God. But if we're sitting there like, no, I can't do it, then you can't do it. You really can't. And I'm someone that used to be like, I can't do that. Like, I can't do that. I can't do that. And I just said I can't all the time. And the more that I am like, oh, like, what if I just try that? Or what if I just maybe go for like a couple minutes, or just kind of pushing myself out of my comfort zone just a little bit makes me want to try more things, and it challenges my mind, and it challenges those negative thoughts, and it makes me realize like, oh, I actually can do anything that comes my way because of Jesus. I think that our minds, specifically like when we're being attacked in our minds, it can be so passive, so we're not really paying attention to it. Sometimes maybe you're listening to someone really negative and you're just like, oh, like, okay, but you don't realize those things are kind of planting seeds in your head, and they're just sitting there and they're marinating and they're waiting. Let's say I'm having a bad day and all I'm focused is on like, oh, no one likes me. My mind is just going to start picking things like, yeah, you're right, no one likes you. Remember this, remember that. Like, bro, no, I don't want to remember that. You need to be able to stop yourself in your tracks to be like, actually, I am so loved. Remember when Jesus died on the cross for me because he loved me so much, even though he knew I would be a sinner? Boom. Or you could be like, oh my gosh, like, I'm actually so loved, and pull up like text messages of people saying the things that they love about you or things like that. It's such a hard thing to do, like to remind ourselves that we're good enough or that we're here for a reason and things like that. But we just have to practice. I think a huge part that's really important to me about this whole Becoming Your Best Investment series is that people know that they deserve so much better. I think that when you're an investment, you're investing time into yourself, you're investing energy into yourself because you know that you can become someone great, or you know that you are someone great and you want to keep that going. And so just understanding that we deserve so much better, we deserve more, and in order to do that, we need to have perspective shifts. I think that there are so many things around us that can distract us and take our minds off of Jesus, take our minds off of positivity, take our minds off of all the great things that are happening in our life. It is so hard to consistently look on the bright side. It takes practice. It takes actual work. It takes intentionality, and it's just something that not a lot of us are thinking about. But if you really want to do a deep dive into perspective, I do have an episode on the podcast called Shifting Your Perspective, and it goes into that and just talking about how we can shift our perspectives and become our best selves. But for this episode specifically, just a reminder that our mindsets create our reality, and our perspective is something huge. Like shifting your perspective from, oh, like everything sucks, to maybe that sucks, but what can I learn from this? Something like that. So how do we take care of our minds and take care of our bodies? I think that the most important thing that we can do for our bodies is to recognize when we're feeling stressed and take a minute. Maybe go on a walk, take a break, just being intentional and finding ways to take care of yourself. I know it can be weird, especially like if you're in the workforce or you just don't have a lot of time on your hands, but there are stretches that you can look up on YouTube that you can do at your desk while you're sitting down. Maybe if you're walking to class, you can just take a mindful moment. Don't play anything in your AirPods and just like have your headphones in, but it's just silent and you're noticing things, listening to the leaves. You're freeing your mind. You're not focusing on all the things that you're stressed about, or taking time to journal every morning and night before you go to bed. Just reminding yourself that you're good enough. Doing things that you love to do that are not stressful. So like, if you love to dance. If you love to play guitar. Express yourself, be creative. I think that a lot of the times, because we're also stressed, we tend to just cast aside the things that bring us joy because we don't have time for them. But when we make time for the things that we love, I think that time passes so quickly and we're just so much more happier and we're focused on the good. And it's just a good reminder that like, no, like everything's going to be okay. Like, actually, I love life, when you focus on things that you love. So with your bodies, just take care of yourself. Like, eat things that you love. Maybe if you're someone that does have those digestive issues, maybe you start to attack what is so stressful in your life. What do you need to let go of? Maybe journal about that. Maybe seek out a counselor or some help with that. I think that anything that you do, any step that you take forward in taking care of your body and taking care of your mind is a huge step in itself, because not a lot of people are doing that already. So you're already winning by taking that extra step for yourself. So that can really look like anything. And you don't have to do a million things all at once. You can just maybe start to be like, hey, like I'm going to journal every night before I go to bed so I can go to bed with a clear mind. That can be something. Maybe I'm going to go on a walk every time I come home at this time. Just making sure that you take a little bit of time for yourself. Investing that time and energy into yourself is such a huge, important part of becoming your best investment. So that's the end of today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll put all the resources that I spoke about down below in the episode description box, but just a little reminder that taking care of our bodies is so important. It makes up such a huge part of us and it impacts us in so many ways. So I'm really excited to keep diving into these topics. For the next couple of weeks, there'll still be things on Instagram that you guys can engage with, affirmations, journal prompts, verses, whatever it is that can benefit you, it'll be there. So I hope you guys really take advantage of it. I really, truly believe that in order to really believe that you're worth investing in yourself is to understand who you are and get to know yourself, and being intentional about your mind and your body is getting to know yourself, which is leading you towards steps of becoming your best investment. So I hope that you invest time and energy into yourself today. I hope that you take care of yourself and realize that you are so worth it. Take care, guys. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Don't forget to follow the podcast on TikTok and Instagram. Bye, guys.